You've betrayed yourself over and over again, trying to make others happy, and you've called it maturity. You prioritize their feelings above your own because disappointing them is better than disappointing yourself. You found yourself in that mental place, ashamed that you don't have the courage to push back and upset that you don't have the strength to say no. You've been waiting for some grand confrontation where you finally stand up for yourself. But when you see it coming, you run away. You don't believe that you can handle it. You see, self-abandonment is practiced. It disguises itself as good manners. It makes you bow down to crazy expectations and try to live up to their unreasonable demands. We mostly learn it early on, in the small, ordinary moments when saying the truth costs you connection and you choose them over yourself. I can relate. I've lived there once. I've said yes when I wanted to say no, and I've stayed quiet when I should have spoken up. I know what it feels like to handcuff yourself to their expectations and believe that you can't break free. Over time, it stops feeling like a choice. It becomes second nature. How you see, how you think, how you feel about yourself, and how you make decisions. What you don't see is how it's shaping you into someone far from the real you. One day you may wake up and realize you've become someone you don't recognize. There was someone very close to me. I valued our relationship deeply. One day she said something very painful, and at the time I laughed it off, and I didn't even understand why. It took months of withdrawal and self-loathing to see that the relationship was not healthy. And it wasn't just because of that one situation. What happened opened my eyes to a pattern of protecting the peace at the cost of myself. Before, I would have made myself get over it and just found some way to move on. But for some reason, I couldn't do that anymore. And I'm not completely sure why, but I think that what triggered this change was having my first child. It was the first time the stakes went beyond me. People's expectations now had implications for my daughter's well-being and how she would be raised. It was no longer possible to just agree, and I wasn't willing to give in to collective pressure anymore. I would not uphold a peace that my child would pay for. That decision became the prologue for upheaval. You see, once you stop agreeing to the old terms, you start to see how many relationships were built on them. There are those who are only comfortable with the version of you that stays agreeable. When that changes, they don't know how to respond. They've never heard no from you before. So when you start to put boundaries in place, there's confusion or offense or silence. And that can be very painful and lonely, even though you know what you're doing is right for you. And you may be tempted to go back, to get that blanket of safety, but you must remember those moments when it hurts to give pieces of yourself away. If you hold on a little longer, you will see that there's joy and freedom on the other side. With wisdom and patience, time and practice, you become someone you really like, someone more authentic. It's important to be honest with yourself first and then with others. To be able to say, no, that doesn't work for me. Understanding that no is a complete sentence. For me, I'm no longer willing to let what people might say or think dictate how I show up in my own life. I'm learning to live fully in who God made me to be, not just what looks good or what sounds right. I'm clearer on who I am and what I carry, what I'm called to, and the fact that we don't have much time here. You must remember that tomorrow is not promised. And when my time is done, I want to know I didn't spend my life diminishing myself to keep the peace. I want to die empty, knowing I poured out what God puts in me. Because this fear of disappointing people, this obsession with being liked, it seduces you away from your identity and it steals your calling. And for me, that's not a trade I'm willing to make anymore. So maybe it's time for you to ask, have you been silencing yourself to stay safe? And what could it look like to stop?